disclosure, I did just start over. And it's thrown me completely off, so I'm never going to do that again. Which, helps my case with the being transparent, being introverted me. You'll get to see everything, and I don't confuse myself. um, yeah, so if I say, like I said before, and I didn't actually, bear with me. Yeah, so, say everything again. So, I'm in a parking lot in the daytime. Go figure. Uh, and it's partially cloudy, so the light's gonna keep changing. My car is on because it did decide to get warmer today. My car says it's 77 degrees. So I need some AC, and I've got only the foot vents on. So hopefully that's helping the sound up there. I did test, especially since I'm not using my earbuds and microphone. And I think it sounded okay. So this should turn out okay. And I'm using my, I forgot to say this last time. I'm using my tripod in my car because I no longer have a phone holder thingy because my car has GPS. Anyway, so it's slightly awkward, but I don't care. So it's all good. So I am doing a part 2 to my testimony because I noticed, and I think I said it at least once or twice, that never really thought about my testimony, my spiritual story, the spiritual side of my life, how it's gone since past 14, and even now sitting here like this, it's I'm warming up. The first run through and my testing was I'm warming up. So but my breakthrough, as I'll keep referring to it, my breakthrough is my chapter. I'm gonna call it chapter 3, but it's pretty much it's part 2 to my testimony. And I did say I wasn't ready to share it yet. I'm going to tell the story, but leave out a detail that is not going to come out until these get published and I get to know who y'all are. So doesn't that just make it interesting? So I did make some notes and hopefully that was scratched out enough for one of my sister's old science fair notebooks from school. She's 30 now. My youngest sister's 30. Made some notes watching over part 1 because again, of all things, this I want to get right. Obviously, I've not taken the time to actually script something out. Part of it's laziness. Part of it is just I have trouble with words anyway. So having to sit down and concentrate and make sure that my words are exactly right it's difficult. So I at least took I took notes to make to try and clarify some things that I was trying to say last time. And then I'm gonna go on with my breakthrough story. So here we go. I did just get off work. I guess it's almost been an hour, but still, warming up, relaxing, cooling down, whatever. Bear with me. And okay, let me read my notes. So yes, testimony part 2. Please watch. I gotta put that in my title somehow. Um, this is important to me to get right of all things. Just or to make sure again that I've explained myself fuller-ish. um, so I've taken some notes. Explain. I'm just gonna read it. Explain all the better at 2 a.m. I think I think it's better for me. Possibly God provided when there's a hitch in my composure when I'm trying to do something important. It keeps me humble, authentic, gives room for God, the Holy Spirit, to work through me without me getting in the way through planning, self-consciousness, ego, immaturity, anything in between, introvert, anxiety. Um, yeah, and I've found that a lot of the case with with when I'm tired, and especially as I get older too. That's something that I don't know that I heard too much growing up from the older folks. You know, at some point, and you know, it probably just doesn't happen to everybody, but at some point, part of growing up or maturing, whatever, or at least for me, my experience has been, you know, I get too tired to worry about certain things or to be self-conscious. Um, and so certainly at 2 o'clock in the morning, right when the alarm goes off, or however long it takes me to wake up, um, I'm too, you know, I'm too tired to keep second guessing myself, or you know, etc. Or to pump myself up, or to get overzealous about something and then not make sense, and it just, you know, I'm still I'm still imperfect, else, but hopefully this gives a little bit more explanation to what I was trying to say. My YouTube channel is connected to my the spiritual calling on my life. God-led, spirit-protected. For those who have ears to hear versus pearls before swine, I no, that's part of that note. I am trusting God as this is His calling for me to take care of what I'm not thinking of. This is a reiteration for when I mentioned this a God-given drive. Trusting God to cover what I'm not thinking of, to act fearlessly, but watchful for His word, for His leading, for His conviction, however it comes, to watch what I say, what I'm doing. Ever since I was little, I've had a love for singing and for music. And when you're little, especially, I don't know if it's especially my generation or not, but just being, you know, middle class, Midwestern, or I don't know, just singing, especially as a profession, was something that little girls played at, and maybe little boys if they were trying to be Backstreet Boys or something, or that sort of thing. So it wasn't something to take seriously. You know, because everyone, you know, all the little girls wanted to be singers when they grew up. But especially with and then, you know, just being younger, I probably somewhere in my head thought, oh, but for me, it's different because I'm a Christian, so I'm gonna be a Christian singer, and that makes it better or something. So just I did the choirs where I could. I even did auditioned choirs, um, and eventually it just started growing more and more, kind of alongside my faith. I think I mentioned in the last video that my favorite group growing up was Point of Grace. They are celebrating a huge anniversary right now, and oh my gosh, I've only seen them live once, and it was such an awkward experience. It was at a church. I was supposed to go with my mom, but she got the flu. She never gets sick. She never gets the flu, but she had the flu. So my younger sister went with me, who didn't, she was there to support me, didn't really necessarily, not like she dislikes them, but just, it wasn't necessarily her thing. They did a meet and greet afterwards. They did autographs, and I just, when you meet someone that you've looked up to, it's nerve wracking, and we were in line with a bunch of families and their little kids, and there were these two little rambunctious kids. Well, they were kind of rambunctious kids like all throughout the line, but directly in front of me and behind me, and so it was just, I finally get to my turn, and being me, kind of waited till the end of the line just because of the crowd, and so they were already tired-ish, I think, or just, I was ramping myself up with something, trying to think of, the thing to say. You've got just that short window of time with them, and my younger sister who was with me ended up saying it, because I was just there going, oh my gosh, I'm just so glad to finally meet y'all. Thank you for coming to where I could actually come and see you, and then my sister ended up spilling out, yeah, she's been wanting to do music, she's listened to you for a long time, and all the while the kids are jumping up and down around behind us, and they said something about, just make good friends. The sound people in churches are usually, good people to connect with. And okay, man, thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you. Boing, boing, boing. Anyway, so I didn't think that was gonna come out now, but so Point of Grace just gave me a love for singing, especially harmonizing. I've never really harmonized around anybody, but I think I do it okay. I have fun with it. And then after that, just as I continued to, my love for music continued to grow. The next group ended up being another group became Celtic Woman. Just a huge inspiration to me, and really drove home even stronger this desire to do music, and it really came into a calling, and so yeah, I think I mentioned in my intro video I was going to try and double major in college, but people said I was crazy. And naive little me, decided to believe them because they knew more than, how things worked more than I did. But anyway, so that didn't happen, and that kind of goes into my breakthrough story. But all that to say, so YouTubing kind of became another avenue that God placed in front of me. And he's confirmed it at least a couple times. especially during COVID when things started ramping up for YouTube, and so here we finally are. That was a long-winded divergence from my notes here. Let's see. God-given drive. And because of that, because he's given me several confirmations of my calling to music, especially. I'm going to share that later. God always provides for his calling. Makes a difference whether we stay faithful and abide in him. But he provides, and all I have to do is believe that and trust in that, trust in him, live faithfully, abide in him, and so in the same way, I mean, especially with as scary as this could be, as it could get with being public on the internet, especially in these times, especially with something as controversial as being spiritual, or as the world says, religious. Love you. Does anyone know Tim Hawkins out there? I pray a hedge of protection around my YouTube channel. Yeah. I trust in God for this to reach the right people at the right times in the right way. It's not going to be perfect. And with the YouTube community guidelines, all that sort of stuff, I think that's made things easier. But when it comes to copyright, when it comes to being flagged for saying certain things, AI, it's going to be tricky. And, again, just, everyone's on the internet. And, they can say whatever they want because it's the internet. So, I'm just getting those thoughts out there. And, I'm at a different stage of life, 32, so I've been through sales. Y'all, if you can work through sales for any length of time, you get a little harder of a skin. I've never thought of myself as a hard-skinned person, but I've got some calluses there. Let's see. Next note says, sorry for how much the mic hits my sweater collar zipper in part 1. I didn't know. Next one says, the platform. So YouTube as the platform is a tool to see things from my perspective as an imperfect, young, 32, young, middle-class American female, a sinner. See how things look from my perspective. You may not have the opportunity in your lives, particularly otherwise, especially as the world pushes us to live individual, independent lives. So, especially when it comes to these Bible studies, to the read-throughs, to whatever spiritually, again, not a teacher, not an authority, especially to, the young ones out there. I still consider myself young. This goes for anybody, anything. I mean, let me just speak for myself. I'm not trying to teach you through my life how to live, because no. You're not supposed to look at anyone, really. I mean, you can have relationship, you can get to know a person, someone can be walking faithfully, but everyone is still imperfect. Everyone is still unfinished. None of us are going to be God. None of us know exactly what his plans are, what the perfect ultimate human is supposed to be. So not to be taught, y'all are not to be taught by my life, except where God may lead and convict you, and or as he leads and convicts me. Because I'm gonna grow through study, through reading every single word in that NASB Bible as he's led me to. Oh, and I googled. Well, I've got my search engine defaulted to Bing because I like pictures. Pictures. So I binged the actual quote from DS9 that I had mentioned before, and let's see, it is from season 4, episode 17, Accession. I'm not going to describe the episode, but the quote goes like this. The quote is, "That's the thing about faith. If you don't have it, you can't understand it. And if you do, no explanation is necessary." I like that. You know? Yeah. It says it all there. And on the site I was looking at, I don't know if it was Wikipedia or what, but I happened to notice the date when that episode aired was February 24th, 96. Just kind of had a thought. I wonder if that's when that program was. That Billy Graham program where I went down and said my little prayer. It's just a thought. Yeah, and so last time I petered out at about age 14. I went on to talk about surgery I had. For some reason I said college. I don't know why. It was in high school, which I guess makes sense with the youth group. But yes, I'm pretty sure it was in between. It was the summer in between my junior and my senior year of high school. And just I had to mention that I had I had lots of different groups praying for me at the time as well. Yes, that makes me remember my two older sisters were both then they were living in California in their first apartment, I think. And because we had gone out there at least once and met and had gone to their church, and I think there was a particular lady whose spiritual gift was prayer. She had a prayer list, had a prayer chain that went I don't know how far, and then of course just all of my relatives, aunts, nieces, nephews, cousins, etc. So didn't want to just so there was it went out there. It involved a lot of people, a lot of prayer, and then that tumor just dissolved and just had to get drained. Anyway, I do get squeamish. I mean, a lot of it's kind of show. Anyway, I don't want to go there. Let's see. So, those are my notes. Yeah. doing things when I'm impeded one way or another kind of helps get me out of the way. Insecurity and the other thing. Music has been my calling, and YouTube's kind of has come out of that. We'll see where things lead. I'm trusting God to protect me, protect the channel, protect the, if it's His calling in the first place. I'm being as watchful as I can. The platform, being on the internet like this, especially doing a Bible study of all things, it's literally, it's a reaction. It's from my perspective, from someone who believes. Be interesting to, have a non-believer react to the Bible, but that's a thing. Anyway, I got the quote from DS9, and I corrected when my surgery happened. So, yeah. So, all that is left after I'm making okay time. All that is left, if I can put my thing. Come on, take a drink. Come on, take a drink. Clouds are now covering the sun. This is still weird, y'all, but oh, and I didn't bring Kleenex, but I'm in a public place, so maybe I won't cry. But tell y'all about my breakthrough. And it involves that detail, but I'm going to keep referring to it as detail or a certain something, and because it was the tool for my breakthrough. Kind of what encouraged, especially the vlog more and more, especially the diary of an introvert, is to finally give me an avenue, a tool to get stuff out. I think I may have mentioned that before. Just being so frustrated at how things have gone for me, how things are going still, and not being heard. Not that I need to be heard, not that I need to be noticed, and not trying to make myself a victim or a martyr or, all that kind of stuff. But just for me personally, my life being so quiet, I have literally often just been invisible, or especially with a lot of the jobs that I've had. I've had a lot of second jobs, y'all. So but still, but a lot of especially retail jobs that I've had. Often, a lot of times, what happens because I'm so quiet and decent at what I do, a lot of times people will come. I won't get instruction because people think I've already been there a year, if not more. I've had that comment more than a couple times. So just wanting very much an avenue to, as this Tesla backs in, or tries to. Change your mind? Yeah, go park somewhere else and do something. Okay, sorry, y'all. Wanted an avenue to get thoughts out, and especially with how much I value the YouTubers that I watch more and more, value that relationship, see the community that they have and that they build, that they cultivate. Just thought I would try it and see if anyone wanted to see my side of things. I don't know, just to hear what I had to say. And this stems from, just I've mentioned before, just things not going as expected, which I suppose it's normal for everybody. Can't tell you how many times I've heard people not using what they went to school for, what they went to college for, and that has always bothered me because of my drive, because of my ambition. I knew what I wanted to do, but I was so young, so naive, so stupid. I all the people that were there at the college, I figured they knew what they were doing. They were there to instruct me and build me up into the life I was trying to lead and go into. So I figured they knew what they were talking about. So yeah. So as life just continued to get more complicated and things just didn't happen the way that I thought they were supposed to. Some of it socially as well. If that, y'all, I'm getting it out. I didn't realize it, but my breakthrough was finally realizing it, or finally naming it, finally owning it as just a bitterness really started to grow towards God, towards myself, but towards God as well. And so, I mean, my relationship was still strong, was still as I described, if not more so, just as you'll learn in my story, just in how much I've studied, how much I've wanted to do things all together right. I wanted to go to a Bible college whenever in elementary school and Sunday schools, when they would say, draw yourself in the future, or draw your plans, or you make your little construction paper booklets about what the future was going to be for yourself. I think my dad went to Crown College. I think it was called Crown College in Minnesota. That's where I was going. I would always draw myself in a suit. It was purple, but in a suit with a bun, very professional looking, very put together, and especially as my love for music just continued to grow and grow. I mean, surely they had music as part of the college. There were, I was listening to Christian musicians, and so that was going to be my thing. But being invisible, being unseen, unheard, my singing, as you can imagine, I can sing quietly very well. I'll put it that way. I can understand what I'm saying. I know exactly what the lyrics are and stuff, but because I was one of the little ones, the second middle child, always watching, always behind, always invisible. And, mumble. A lot of that having to do with I still have 5 baby teeth. These big old gaps in my teeth. I still got the baby teeth that never had adult teeth behind them. And around the time when braces came along was when the recession happened. The recession! I don't know if anyone remembers that word anymore, but so Dad's life was impacted, and he's apologized to me quite a few times for not being able to finish my teeth. That's something that he's been on his mind. He's felt guilty for, not another thing he's felt guilty for, but I've never been that vain. It's just I've definitely come to realize and recognize that it's affect it doesn't help that I'm not talking over those teeth, so I'm not opening my mouth as much as everyone in my life has told me. Just open your mouth when you're singing, especially what is it? It's two fingers wide. There's also clicking my jaw. How many times do I want to tell those teachers when I see someone singing with their mouth shut, when they sound great. Anyway, so bitterness, just at things not going the way I expected, the way I was led to believe. Through I was still walking in faith. I was still studying. When I made the move out to California, I intentionally, separately even, took either of my parents. I had a sit down talk and conversation with them, just telling them that I felt this move was something God was leading me to do. That was a big deal. I prayed out loud with them separately when I told them this. Neither of them remember, but that move to California was a big thing, and just accompanied by more and more disappointment, more and more failure on my end, because I did not realize how things actually worked, how difficult, especially with the recession happening. Did not realize how that would affect the world. Just the working world, the economy, how I was going to be able to afford things, especially, moving out to California of all places. But in my mind, in my mind, God was leading me to do it, so He was going to provide. And so my faith, started waning just more and more. My bitterness just continued to grow. And ultimately, when for her sake, for the sister I was living with, it's got to be a vlog by itself. And I've always wanted to tell her fully, apologize for how things went to her and her husband and niece. Anyway, But so if you're watching, my sister, um, love you and thank you, and I'm sorry. That's a story for another time. Um, so stayed with her in California for a year, y'all. And I think I still have that picture too. I was I was trying for the interior design jobs. I don't think I was even looking at music at that time. I was trying to get on my feet with interior design, a thing I went and got a degree for. And you know, and looking at the reliable, you know, retail at the same time. And I think I've still got this picture of Indeed application, seeing, you know, 100 people are applying for this position. Nowadays it's in the thousands, but yeah. So was with the sister for a year, and then through God's provision, that I don't know, haven't gotten to that part of the breakthrough yet, but I squandered, I guess. But ended up living with my brother-in-law's parents for another year in California, and just at the end of all of that, and getting another, you know, it's been a year. It's time to go, because they were trying to move. Um, I just was frustrated, and my heart, my faith, my head. Because I'd gotten close. I'd gotten close to getting my own place at the end of all that. I was so close. I don't know what they were doing at that place, that job. Anyway, so I had built up this you know, this relationship with God, to where I was giving him everything. I gave him my parents, of all things, just, you know, the most important people in your life. Giving him my plans, my thoughts, my you know, everything. My dog, I mean, you know, not my dog, it's a family dog, but still, you know, just and just, you know, at the end of those 2 years, I took it back. I took it back. I picked it all back up again, and just, you know what? It didn't work. It didn't work, and I just got to do this thing. I just got to do it. So I ended up moving back again. I think mentioned I went a little farther to move in with another sister. Somehow, over there, well, I worked at Starbucks for 4 months, and then I got into my first ever full-time job. And somehow, it wasn't necessarily the plan, but circumstances happened to where I was able to move out and finally get my own apartment. And I was still trying to study, I was still trying to have a relationship, but church attendance was so, and that's another different story. That's way more complicated. I think I mentioned in part 1 that church attendance at home before I moved out had waned as well. And y'all yeah, that's a whole, that's a bunch of kicking cans of worms. um, so in the place where I lived in an apartment, finally, well, actually, I mean, I got this part out to my dad, not to my sisters, so maybe, I don't know. I was at a place spiritually, like, it was strong, but it was failing. Like, I was still, we were still here, but it was like, it was coming down. But I was still at a place to where, like, I almost thought I had a spiritual gifting in prayer, because I would I would be doing like spiritual warfare type prayer. Like, I would be praying something for somebody, and the next day hear them say, "I just had this weird dream last night, and it inspired me to talk to someone, to talk to this person, talk to my wife, talk to my child." Not to try and puff myself up, but to give witness, to give testimony of the things that God can do. But just with how things were, with how much I had failed at life. I had gone to a park to try and do a Bible study, and I fell asleep. I just fell asleep while doing a Bible study. That never happened before, and that was just you know. And now, as I'm talking about, yeah, it's just a bitterness growing towards myself and God at the same time for letting it happen to me. And it didn't stop there. So I'd taken everything back from God. I'd fallen asleep in a park trying to do a Bible study. And then my mom got sick. She and I were always, she and I'd always felt had been the most similar in our faith, where we had just let everything go to God. We'd given everything to God, our lives, or for Him to do however He pleased. We read through the Left Behind series together. I was reading the adult Left Behind series. I remember, I think I was on like book 3 when I was in 5th grade, and showed my teacher when we finally moved down to Georgia, and she was impressed. And like, yeah, I'm gonna read Frank Peretti, and my mom found this Bible study controversial, but I did that with her quite a lot online. And just, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, don't know if anyone does this, but just having one of those, those weird thoughts on occasion. Just, what if something happened to a family member or the person sitting next to me, or just, and just, I don't know if it's because of movies or just whatever, just having just a vivid imagination or something, but just, imagining that happening and seeing what my response would be. And of course, I mean, just it would be awful, but God is in control. God knows what He's doing. He loves everybody more than I could. He knows the bigger picture. And ultimately, when we die, we're going to be with Him. So, not a big deal. And then her cancer came back. I forget how much time there was, but my intro video, I kind of went through my timeline and mentioned, my mom's cancer came back. I did what I could to move back home as fast as I could, and I wasn't that far away because of COVID. Or, right before COVID, God provided. I was working at a grocery store at the time, I can say that. And I was able to easily transfer that to home. And the move happened after the fact. I was able to be here pretty immediately. As much as Dad thanks me, I didn't really know that much, if anything. I was the last one to administer her medication, so it could be my fault. But she didn't make it. And my family is still, it's just unbelievable that it happened. I guess I'm not getting that emotionally invested in the story with y'all. Kind of a protection? I don't know. But I guess this is kind of where that tool of mine that I mentioned, this detail that I'm not being specific about, kind of comes into play. Just the morning after. I'll call it an addiction. Or I guess I just described it as an addiction. It's similar, but started growing more and more, and it kind of aligns with my bitterness. Kind of when my bitterness really started growing, these things kind of coincided, and it was this tool was very much a representation of my bitterness that just grew, and especially as a sin, it grew and grew. Used it in my bitterness towards God for it actually happening, because I was at a place to where I was praying and things were happening. Of course, I was in a place in my faith as well to where I know God doesn't always give you the answer. God doesn't give you the answer you want to hear. Sometimes He doesn't answer at all. He doesn't owe us anything, any explanation, anything. Sometimes God says no. And that was fine with me. But it actually and a large and part of it is fine. The larger part of it is not fine. But just in the life that's happened after one of my sisters was with me at the time, stuck around for about a year, and then she moved, and I've stayed on with Dad to take care of him, to kind of take care of me as well. I'd been wanting to get back home for so long. Home just being a place of comfort and safety and comfort. Especially, my parents. But also just thinking over my life. Just, back in food service retail, with all the ambition, with all the drive that I've had and had to let go of. Especially, trying, not especially, but, trying YouTube again and just being so defeated. I did call it a breakthrough. I really hope y'all can still hear me. We're coming too close, I promise. I actually don't care how long these things are. Hopefully y'all don't either. But, I've been seeing God just more and more get my attention. But in just the right ways, in subtle, compassionate, graceful ways. So I've been missing the relationship that we had, the walk that we had. What scared me, especially starting the day after Mom passed, up until then, my thoughts had always been a conversation with God. Ever since I heard, prayer could be, prayers, you're just talking to Him. And He knows what you're saying even when you don't have the words. What a grace. But after Mom passed, and with that sin, that connection was broken. I was no longer talking to Him in that way. I no longer felt Him near, whether it was just an immense bitterness towards myself, so I felt unworthy. All the cliches, all the platitudes get so annoying during those times, especially. that's a different thing. But he just gradually, more and more, just kept getting my attention as I just missed him, as I continue to struggle in the life that I'm leading, just in retail, in food industry, and with the inspiration, just I still felt more and more as I watched YouTubers, as I started veering back towards the music that I liked. I guess I listened to some Celtic women this morning. I wasn't listening to Celtic women to Point of Grace for a long time. I was just angry. I was angry. Let me save that. I'm putting it on record and wanting y'all to hear me. But it started coming back. I wanted him back. Repeatedly asked him to help me, and he did. Just more and more, and he helped me continue to encourage Dad to get back to church. And in the churches that we went to, in the sermons, in the Bible studies, the Sunday schools, I just heard and felt him more and more. And then, in the last couple of weeks, in this last month, I finally came to a head of revisiting a topic with my sisters. Complicated. Combined with some podcasts that I'd listened to that I was trying to stay away from, some YouTube videos that I had kept saved for a long time and was trying to stay away from. Those I'm going to keep private. I mean, they're out there, so it's not like I'm just not. Anyway. But I finally, through these things, identified my bitterness, identified my bitterness that was holding me back from letting things go again, letting my life go again, giving it back to God. I was finally able again to do it in a real way. I don't know if you guys, we've gone on for so long. It's been a couple hours now since I've been off from work. Hopefully it'll come out later, but this is part 2 of a testimony. Finally at the end, I'm not going to be able to convey right now just the weight of this breakthrough. But, like I was saying last video, I'm back in the game now. That's a loud truck coming by. Wait and see what he's going to do. Kevin. Hang on, y'all. gonna say this is someone not wanting me to get my story out, but it's out there, man. All that's really left is for me to just say he's back in my life. It is almost like we're picking up where we left off. We're not starting completely over. We had a relationship, God and I am saying. Father God, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh, mighty counselor, creator. And we're doing this. And I'm moving. The detail, the sin, the addiction is gone. Wiped out. Wiped out. Wiped. Clean. It was me. It was in my head. There's been taunts. There has been temptations. But I look that other guy straight in the eye and say, nope. Nope. So, oh man, y'all. I don't know if this was painful. This is going to be painful to watch back, but I got it. I don't know that I've got it in me to re-record it. So, once again, Diary of an Introvert, I went back over part 1 with my notes. Told y'all my breakthrough story with a part of it missing, but and without crying. It might happen later, we'll see. What I've got next? Oh, definitely before I move, I want to make sure I get pictures of some things that are my dad's and I'm obviously not bringing with me. And then I'm getting back on Sims. I'm at least creating one more Sims 1 video and then moving on to the other ones as well as my other games and reaction videos. I finally got them figured out on my computer. My phone is a different story, but that is more like vlog stuff, not y'all. My testimony's over. Sorry. I'm sorry. So, yeah. Y'all will get to know me better as these vlogs go by, and certainly as the Bible studies go by. Probably more from the vlogs than the Bible studies, but I'm still waiting on my new Bible to come in the mail. Who knows, I might start it on my phone one of these days, but I'm also trying to be sensitive to my dad too, who's not happy at the prospect of me moving, but we'll talk about that later. Because I've kept y'all too long with all my crazy shenanigans. So, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Love y'all. and we'll see